Morning, tribe. We've got Rad here, still working on the computer, never stops.
I'm just responding to everybody in the Movement Mastermind and getting our questions ready.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's Friday. Welcome. And we're talking today about what you do if you don't have access to gymnastics rings for your upper body strength and mobility training. We're answering a couple of really good questions that have come in from the Movement Mastermind, and we're going to do a big weekly wrap up. All that and more coming up right after this. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image. We're back. I think we're back. All right, so we've had a couple of questions come in from our tribe overnight who have joined up to the online program. Welcome, everyone. We're super stoked about how many people have joined up in the last couple of weeks. I think our tribe's now over 300 people on the
Yeah, we've got over 300 people now. Yeah. Awesome.
And we've got a couple of people now who are facing the challenge of not having access to gymnastics rings at their gym. So they've asked, you know, is there anything they can do to sort of overcome that? There's a couple of things that we'll talk about here. First and foremost, there have been a couple of great responses from a few of our tribe members already to support. Do you want to kick things off with this?
Yeah, for sure. So the question was saying, I don't have gymnastics rings at my gym. What can I use? Can I use TRXs or a Smith machine or whatever? And look, there's a lot of different things you can do. You can get creative, of course. You know, you can always play around and do things. But the truth is, I'm going to cut straight to the chase with this one. There is no substitute for gymnastics rings. There is nothing out there that does what gymnastics rings do. In the same way that, in all honesty, there's no substitute for a barbell. But, you know, if you don't have a barbell, you can still replicate the movements that you do with a barbell. Like, that's not even close to comparing something to gymnastics rings. And the reason why, like at your level, and when I say your level, I'm pointing at the camera, at the basics level, and I'll start talking here. If you're in phase 1 in the foundation movement system, the only thing you're using gymnastics rings for is in the warm-up. You're doing a ring turnout hold, and you're doing skin the cat. Skin the cat you can definitely do on a pull-up bar or something like that, but you need to be a lot stronger and a lot more flexible to do it on a pull-up bar. It's way harder than on gymnastics rings.
I'm just remembering, because we worked in big chain gyms for quite some time, like Fitness First over here in Australia is probably the biggest, and I was there for 10 years.
Let me just finish what I was saying, because I was almost at the end.
Yeah, okay.
Of what I was saying. But the last thing that I was going to say, the ring turned out hold, there is no substitute for that. There's nothing that you can do that does the same thing that the ring turned out hold does. And the reason why that's in the warm-up is it conditions the elbow and the shoulder joint like nothing else. It teaches you, it switches on the muscles that retract, because your shoulders want to protract when you go into that ring hold. So it switches on the central nervous system's ability to retract and externally rotate your arms, which is exactly what you want to be doing in a workout. And it also switches on the body's ability to lock the elbow out, which is another thing that you need to be doing in calisthenics training. Yeah. Without the gymnastics rings, unfortunately, a TRX does not do it. You cannot get into an RTO hold position on a TRX, and there's nothing else that'll do it. Not even parallettes will do it. Like, parallettes would be the closest thing. Yeah. Without a doubt, parallettes would be the closest thing. So if you've got parallettes, you don't have rings, and you don't want to get them even after what we're about to say now, parallettes would be the closest, but they still don't do it because they don't create the instability that the gymnastics rings do.
And I know that that's hard for some of you guys to hear, and, you know, I don't want you to be like, oh my God, that's it. I can't follow the FMS program. The reality is, guys, that you know, you either will find a way or you won't. And I've linked up, we've done a lot of research to find out like a good options, good value options. And there are a myriad of different options that you can get from Amazon online. I've linked one for Australia and one for the US Amazon in the description of this video. It's one of the best investments you'll ever make. And I honestly believe that...
How much are they, the ones that you linked?
In Australia, they're 45, and in the US, they're like $30.
Yeah. In all honesty, if you're in this just for a 6-week trial and you just want to taste it, maybe you don't want to invest that money and you just want to try the program out. And if that's the case, unfortunately, yeah, you'll just remove the gymnastics rings from your training, and that's okay if that's what you want to do. But if you're in this for the long haul and you want to change your body, it's one of the best investments you'll make. The
because
gymnastics
you can
rings
take
are
them
so
with you.
versatile.
Even if there's not a place to hang them up in the gym, you can go to a tree in a park or a playground. I mean, like we take them when we travel. You know,
if you look at my home gym, what I've got at home, all I've got is gymnastics rings, a couple of bands, and a couple of kettlebells. That's it. And like foam rollers and physio balls and stuff, because that's all you need at home.
Yeah.
You just need somewhere, like even if you're not going to do a workout, the gymnastics rings give you the ability to hang anywhere, and they give you the ability to do all these amazing stretches for your shoulders and your upper body that we haven't taught you guys yet. You'll learn them, but yeah, it's amazing. They're so good.
Yeah, look, we even had convinced the CEO of Vodafone across the road to install them in their office, in their huge building. They have 6 floors of a building up there, so that their team members can go and learn how to play on them. And we've been up there and done a couple of seminars. Like, they're such a good tool. You bang for your buck. For $30 to $45, you just get like a myriad of different exercises and different mobility and strength movement patterns that you can exercise. You know, it'd be such a good investment. It's such a shame to remove that from your program. I think you know.
Yeah.
So
it is. But you know, but at that same in that same vein, it just depends on how important this is to you and what you're willing to invest. And the more investment that you make in your health and fitness, the greater the results are going to be. And that is as literal as it is metaphorical. You know, if you invest in a program with good trainers like the FMS, you're going to get more than if you try and just Google it and get YouTube answers. If you invest in a little bit of equipment that your gym doesn't that allows, like gymnastics rings, that allows you to do amazing movements that you couldn't otherwise do, you're going to get more out of it. But it's okay if you don't want to do that. If that's not for you, it's okay. You'll still get great results. Yeah, you know, you just, I mean, it's such a small part of the FMS. You can still focus on the other 98%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I hope that we've sort of answered. And there are some good answers there from a couple of the guys in the tribe. You can do German hangs from a fixed bar. What I was going to say before is that just make sure it's a fixed bar and there's plenty of room around you so you don't get tangled up. Like, I know that there are some chin-up bars that are like, what do they call them, Roman chairs and things like that, that are sort of like a hybrid machine that has a few different uses. I don't think I'd be trying to do German hangs from if that's all you've got access to, or skin the cats. If you've got like a CrossFit style gym set up in a mainstream gym where they've got actual racks, like, you know, matrix cells and things like that, then yeah, that's definitely an option for you. But just be cautious of what you're hanging from in the gym. There's certainly a lot of risk there for big fuck ups, you know. Yeah.
So we'll get into some of our other questions now.
Yep.
So Dan Pham has, he's a new member. He's asked a great question. He said, I'm enjoying the back and front body line. The L-sit, hell no. He says, when you do the L-sit, do you keep your back straight or arch or round on your low back? So the answer, Dan, is you actually don't think about it. The back is not a consideration. What you do think about are your shoulders and your legs. Those are the things that you're really thinking about. So the number one thing, without a doubt, with the L-sit is to depress the scapula and lock the elbows out. So that means to push your shoulders down, lock the elbows out. The number two thing is to not have protracted or retracted shoulders. Now, for most people, what that actually means is that you try to retract, because for most people, their shoulders go into a protracted position. But for stronger people that can control it, that can get their shoulders into a retracted position, that is not the goal. You're not trying to retract the shoulders. You're just trying to keep them neutral in the sense of protraction versus retraction. So retraction is the shoulder blades pulling towards the spine, and protraction is the shoulder blades pushing away from the spine. People misunderstand it by thinking protraction is shoulders forward and retraction is shoulders back. That's not the way to describe protraction and retraction. That's a byproduct of it. Your shoulders will go forward when you protract, but it's not what you're thinking of. The second thing is what's going on in the hips and the knees. Keep the knees at a 90-degree angle and lift the knee up so it's a 45-degree angle in the hip. Okay, and if you do that, you're going to be really getting a good ab workout. It's a killer workout. It's exercise. It's really fatigues the central nervous system when you do a good tuck L-sit. And besides that, the back will do what it does, man. I mean, there's going to be a little bit of flexion in the spine because it is a core exercise as well as a shoulder exercise. But beyond that, you don't need to think about what goes on in the back. You got anything to add to that, Yanni?
No. It's good.
So moving on down the list, we had a question.
Let's just go here.
Okay.
Here. Up.
Yep, okay.
Christoph Janig. I have no idea what to start with. Just purchased the course and am lost. Okay. This is a big one, and there's a lot of people, there's a fair few people that have chimed in here and given you support. It's very easy to get overwhelmed when you're presented with a lot of information, and trust me, Rad and I have like really restricted the amount of information that we've put into the course because of this reason. You know, we do not want to overwhelm people, but we also have to try and cater for people with different levels of strength and fitness, different time restrictions, all that sort of thing, you know. So it is easy to see all of this stuff and go, oh my God, where do I start? I read a great book a while ago called The One Thing by Gary Keller. I strongly urge anyone to read it. It's a massive increase in productivity that I've gained out of reading that book. The concept of focusing on the one thing that's going to give you the biggest result going forward, and then it potentially works like a domino, knocking other things down. So you got to start to think, and the easiest way to start with that concept is to think, am I weak or am I tight? If you're both, start with focusing on the tightness because you'll unlock strength by becoming more mobile. But that should be the focal point. Like, focus on learning the warm-up, then the next step from that. Like, everyone has to know the warm-up, so start with that. Learn the warm-up.
I reckon we're going to do a video on this because I get that if you log into the FMS portal, there's so much content on there, and if you scroll down it, you go, oh my God. But I've actually spent a lot of effort in making it so that you literally start from the top. You watch the first video first. That's a welcome to the program.
Yep.
The second video explains how you use the program template. The third video lesson teaches you how to join the Movement Masterclass. Then it goes into the warm-up. There's 2 videos for the warm-up tutorial and then a warm-up follow-along. And then it goes into the phase 1 workouts. So you literally just start from the top and work your way down. Don't look at the whole thing. So when Yanni says focus on the one thing, I'd go a little bit more specific with that. Just focus on the first video.
Yeah.
Watch that.
Yeah.
Once you've watched the first video, focus on the second video. Then the third video. And it'll all start to come together. Because when you look at it's like getting a book and looking at the book and flicking through it and going, oh my God, there's so much info in there. I'm not going to do that. That's not how you do it.
Yeah.
When you open the cover up and you read the first page, and then you read the second, and then before you know it, you've read a quarter of the book. And as soon as you've read that first little chunk, you start to feel really good about it.
Yeah.
And you start feeling like, oh, I've got this. But if you just keep looking at the book and the enormity of it, you just keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And I can really relate to that because that's how I've been with reading over my whole life. And I've just learned, you just start.
Yeah.
You just open it up and just get started.
Yeah.
And something that I'm going to say here, this is something that's going to add on. Have you got anything else you wanted to?
No, no.
So Tanya Kamiki has said, hey guys, new member here. I've been doing Olympic weightlifting for 2 years after CrossFitting for a few years prior to that. I also play soccer. I'm planning to take a break from the lifting and focus on FMS for now. Frustratingly, I haven't seen any progress in a while, which I suspect has to do with mobility limitations. She's talking about her training in the past. And I bought the load of mobility and stretching routines from you a little while ago, and I'm really enjoying them. Excited to start the FMS on Monday. Have a few questions. I see phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3 pop up in here and there. Am I correct in assuming that phase 1, the beyond phase 1 is not part of the 6 weeks FMS access? That's correct. We've kept it simple and just given you 6 weeks access, which is what the programming is. But here's the one that I want to answer. Should I choose the warm-up from the 6-week course over the loaded mobility routine? Yes, you absolutely should. You should choose the FMS warm-up, and I'm going to touch on that because I did get an email from someone saying, oh my God, there's just so much content, and they wanted to give us some feedback on how we can streamline it a bit more. Now, we considered when we sold these standalone mobility routines selling the one that you get in the FMS, but the reason why we didn't do that is because I thought people would get upset with the value. Like if you bought a program from us for $49 and then you sign up to the FMS online, would you, Cal, can you just help this gentleman? Would you be happy with that? Like, would you be happy that you paid $49 and now you've joined an online coaching program and that same program is the warm-up that you got from it? Like, I thought that would be something that people wouldn't find value in. Now, we've done multiple different mobility warm-ups over the time, and they all have a lot of value and there's a lot of good reasons for doing it. And the reason why we have multiple ones to teach you guys is because, honestly, if you change the warm-up that you do periodically, you'll get great results. That's what we've done. We've never just done the one warm-up and that's all we've done. You do one and you get to a point where you start to feel like, man, I'm all over this and I just know this warm-up. So to change it to something new and something different is going to be very valuable to you. So if you have access to multiple warm-ups and multiple routines that we've given you, just focus on the one that's within the FMS online coaching portal. Focus on that one for the time being. Once you learn it and it becomes part of your life, then learn the loaded mobility routine and the 18-minute stretching routine if you've got access to those ones. And I'll tell you where the strength of those routines come in versus the FMS online routine. The FMS online routine requires equipment. You cannot do it without equipment. You have to be at a gym, you need bands, and you need gymnastics rings. The 18-minute routine, if you remove the foam rolling, which you can really easily do, or the loaded mobility routine, requires no equipment. So those are amazing routines to learn once you've gotten your head around the FMS program, the warm-up and the strength training workouts, and you're at this point where you feel like, okay, I can now absorb some more information, I'm ready for that. That's a good time to then dive into one of the other mobility routines because those are going to be invaluable to you when you go away on holidays. They're going to be really, really good for you. And again, I'll go back to this. I'll say, if you're overwhelmed with all of this, just start from the top. Watch the videos from the top. And when you come to a point where you've watched all that content in the FMS online and you feel like, okay, my brain can absorb more info, then ask us the question. And it'll be months before that happens. There is no shortage of content in what we deliver here. And you know what? Every single fortnight, every week even, there's going to be more content added to this course. It's going to keep going, but it's not meant to be more content for a beginner. It's meant to be more content for people that get from the top of those videos, get to the bottom, and they're ready for the new content. Have you got anything you want to add to that?
Not really, no. You just really want to focus on, like, you gotta somehow simplify your life, and same with your workouts and same with your regime. And people want to, you know, like the one thing I will say is everyone's on their own race. Like, you're going to come, people in this tribe, and when you're exposed to any new sort of gym or anything, there's always people that are real good, people that are starting out, people that are right in the middle, and there's a big broad variety of different skill levels, and everyone's on their own race. And don't look at the people, what other people are doing, and sort of think, oh my God, I'm nowhere near there, or I can't do that, or I'm not using that part of the program yet. Just focus on the one thing that's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. And we've laid it out really as best we can to just walk you through that sort of process. That's pretty much all I'll say for the newbies out there. You know?
And we've designed the FMS program so that absolute beginners can get exactly what they need, but also so that senior trainers, like seasoned veterans, can get what they need. And there's a few people in here in the group that are commenting on our posts that are they really know what they're doing. Like, I can see the comments that they're leaving. Some of you guys are well ahead of being a beginner, but they're still finding amazing value in this program because they're learning things that they haven't learned before. And we've created the program with that intent. We've given it something for everyone. But as a beginner, again, if you look at it all as a whole, man, it'll overwhelm you. So don't look at it like that. Just start from the top and watch those videos, get to the warm-up, learn the warm-up. Once you've learned the warm-up, get to the strength training, and you'll go from there. You know? And the only other thing I'd say from that is, once you've watched, there's going to be there's 5 lessons for you. There's going to be welcome to the FMS, how to join the Movement Mastermind, and how to use the program template. They're in the essential lessons to learn category. Then you're going to go into the warm-up, and the warm-up has 2 videos. There's the tutorial of the warm-up, which is where I break it down. Then there's a follow-along warm-up, which is where Yanni goes through the warm-up at the pace that we do it at with a timer, and I talk you through it. Once you've finished that and you've got your head around the warm-up, what you're going to be into the strength training. And then there's a video for the Monday workout, a video for the Tuesday workout. Don't watch all of them at once. Watch Monday's workout, understand it, and then go and do Monday's workout. Then come back and that night watch Tuesday's workout, and then on Tuesday go and do Tuesday's workout, and so on and so forth. Don't watch the whole course trying to learn it all. It's just too much for you. It's not designed like that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's it. That's pretty much all we've got time for. The only other thing, there's a third part to Tanya Kamiki's. I hope I'm saying your name right, Tanya. Question, which is, in our or everyone on his experience, how long does a single workout take to complete, including the warm up and stretching? Need to time my workout so I can get home in time for the kids' school routines. Thanks for all the awesome content. It's really great. Thanks for that feedback. So that depends on who you are and what your goal is. I love the answers that have come in. Blakely Hernage have said it takes me just under an hour and a half to do all of the workout if I'm in a hurry. And if I am working mobility too, that adds another 40 minutes. So we're looking at about 2 hours. That's awesome, Blakely. That's pretty much what it would take the average person, I think. Then Lockie, one of our gym members, has chimed in and says, we get everything done in exactly an hour. That includes a 12-minute warm-up, 10 minutes of handstand training, 20 minutes of primary strength movements, and about 18 minutes of supplementaries whilst doing mobility between the strength sets. And Lockie has said, we're sweating, it's full on, there's no time for anything. But that's when you're training with a trainer saying, do this, do this, do this, geeing you up. If you're on your own, I'd say about 90 minutes to 2 hours would be good. When I train, it actually takes me about 3 hours. But I'm a personal trainer, and my training happens within my work day, so it's happening whilst I'm at work. I'm not trying to get it in before work or after work, and I get everything done. I mean, I've got to be better than you guys, right? If you're all better than me, then that's right. No one's going to stay here. So that would be my answer for that.
We have one of the most unique personal training employments here, where we actually pay our trainers to train for 2 to 3 hours a day. So how good's that?
Yeah, because we want them. we want them to be good.
The best,
it's not. Yeah. So that's all we got time for today, guys. Thank you so much for the excellent questions. There's some really good stuff coming through, and keep them coming through. We're going to keep answering them. It is the weekend for us, so it's Saturday workout for me and Yanni tomorrow. No Unity TV. We'll be back on Monday in Australia. I think that's Sunday in America and the UK and over in Europe. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful end to your week and weekend, and we will catch you next week.
See you on Monday, guys, or Sunday, wherever you are. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.